Hello and welcome to the back page. It's the 18th of May and today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's happening when your neck jams up. I've done this before and you'll often see me use this particular model. Normal movement we describe where we have every joint of the cervical spine has its individual roles, and we can summarize that with these beads in terms of things move nice and evenly, everybody's doing their job, and things are moving well. From time to time, what tends to happen is certain segments jam up, and then that movement looks a bit like this. You can see the red ones really are not pulling their weight. What we think happens from there is that the segments on the end, so the red ones are jammed, you can see the one right here, and that one down there, they start moving more than what they should, and it's thought that that could produce this clicking. Patients often come in saying, oh, you know, I just turn it clicks or catches. Why is my neck clicking? Well, that's why we think that's happening. This can prompt you to actually click or crack your own neck. The problem with cracking or clicking your own neck is what you tend to do is you tend to do this, and you tend to crack the good guys. You tend to crack the segments that are already moving more than what they should. This is where chiropractors excel because the skill set that chiropractors have to be able to identify areas of stiffness and move them very specifically provide tremendous relief in these situations. Why it happens, sometimes it can just be from recurrent postures. You end up spending a lot of time and you fall into a posture which then locks a segment up and you start moving. Sometimes it can be more insidious and it just builds up over time until it ultimately locks up. Other times it could be you have an old injury. One thing that the science tells us is the cervical spine in moving from, let's say this is flexion, but in accomplishing that movement, it will actually have a couple of different strategies in terms of how it accomplishes that, specifically with respect to which joints it uses and when. In some instances it might bend higher first and then more later. In some instances it might bend in the middle more and then at other points. So the point is the cervical spine has a couple of different strategies in how it moves the joints of the cervical spine to accomplish the same movement. Now obviously it has certain ones that are its favorites and the ones it uses more often, and then it had other patterns that it's adopted for various reasons that it uses less frequently. Some of these can have been created during pain, and what I think happens in some patients is they drop into one of these bad habits, one of these alternate movement patterns, which locks some of their segments. Could be from an old injury, it could just be bad habits that they've learned, and when they do that, they need to come in and get an adjustment, really. It's one of the reasons why I've equipped people with the quick scan, because I'm of the opinion that many of these, when we deviate from that normal motion, can probably be detected with the cervical quick scan, which is once again as simple as left and right rotation, left and right lateral flexion, bearing in mind that left and right lateral flexion will often be uncomfortable, flexion and extension, and of course the combination which I call KEMPS, which is extension and then rotate and put your ear on the same shoulder. If you do these four, and you can do it infrequently, some people might do it once a week, some people might do it once a month, some people won't do it at all because they know they're coming in on a month-to-month basis, and I will find the stiff segments and I will make them move. Just after this break, we'll be talking a little bit more about how these movement patterns affect the upper cervical spine. Really important. So we'll see you after a short break. Hi, and thanks so much for watching. I just wanted to ask you to remember to like, share the post, tag in your friends, and even better still, from a personal perspective, if you can comment on the posts. That engagement provides me with really important feedback to tailor my message to deliver the information that people really need. Thank you. What a refreshing break. As promised, we'll be talking about the impact on the upper cervical spine. This is actually the cervical spine, this is the base of the skull, and these are two highly specialized segments of the cervical spine which accomplish various movements. Specifically, there's a lot of rotation right at the top. There's also a lot of flexion and extension. What I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about is what happens when the normal movement of the cervical spine breaks down a little and we get a lot of extra load being put here, specifically in forward head carriage, which is where you lean forward if you're slouching at a desk, using a laptop. And what tends to happen is we need to keep our eyes horizontal. We need to maintain our posture. Our nervous system is literally hardwired to do that. All the way from our eye muscles, as in the muscles on the outside, the extraocular eye muscles, which move the eyes, and they're hardwired to the cervical spine. Okay, so that's one of the control mechanisms. And what happens when we find ourselves in this poor posture is the easiest and most efficient way for the cervical spine to adapt to that is to extend. And it extends the joint up here where the cervical spine meets the base of the skull. Okay, atlanto-occipital joint. You have these tremendously big condyles. They're the biggest synovial joints in the cervical spine, and we end up with this flexion. It's accomplished by contracting these muscles in here, which is why so often the muscles at the base of our neck end up being really tight and really unhappy, because we're spending too much time activating them in order to maintain our head level when we're in that uncomfortable position. I see it all the time when people come in. It's an area that we adjust and adjust often to relieve this and restore normal movement. But notwithstanding, a really good way to prevent this part of your cervical spine jamming up is to maintain good workstation ergonomics. Obviously, moving on, that would also include car ergonomics. I'd encourage you to visit the website, look at the YouTube links down below, and basically go and find these and assess your workstation and assess your car posture, because these things can really play an important role in having a happier spine for longer. That's the back page for now. I'll look forward to seeing you soon.